Hello guys, and welcome to Drawing Your OCs episode 2. This is a series where I draw your characters, and this time it's in digital art. Before I go into the main portion of the video, I'm going to actually explain how to enter your OC into this series. You create a post about your OC on either Instagram, Twitter, or Drawing Amino with the hashtag DrawMyOCZoe. And due to popular request, I have entries going by email now as well, so you can enter via the email address on screen. All the same rules apply as social media and email, so please bear that in mind. The post's image or images need to include references of your character's clothing style and also colour palettes. In the description of the post, there needs to be information about your character as well as the backstory. I want to know about your character. The pictures do not need to be full body, but at least provide me with a head and a torso shot. But please do not use bases as your character entry. I also pick the characters at random, so there is no favoritism. Now let's find out whose characters I drew this time. Before I talk about the characters, I just want to say I apologise for my voice. It's a bit croaky because I have a sore throat. Don't worry, I'm not sick, it's just a cough that scratched my throat a bit too hard. The first character is Alex, who belongs to Kira_God of Sarcasm on Drawing Amino. The username is quite ironic because I just finished rewatching the anime of Death Note. Alex's story is set in the future. A small group of scientists discovered a magic substance which was encased in an orb. After some experiments, they cracked it open and the orb instantly blew up, taking out the entire town. The magical energy that was left absorbed into the earth and began to spread. This was bad. It actually rotted the earth away and any living being in its path. Anything that didn't rot either mutated or grew much faster than it should have. It spread somewhat slowly, but no one could have done anything for years. 5 years passed and most of the world had already been taken out by it. Only 4 somewhat large towns remained. After a lot of research and experimentation, scientists finally found a substance that could hold off the spread of the corruption. However, it could not hold off for more than a year at a time. However, it wasn't a common thing to find. They probably only had enough for another 30 to 40 years, which might sound long, but it really isn't. If they didn't stop it from spreading, it would spread into the last surviving towns and completely take over the earth. The scientists had started experimenting to figure out a way to try and make a human immune to what the corruption did to living beings. They experimented to see if they could turn it into a vaccination, and it worked. What this means is that when you give it to a newborn child, the body treats the substance like a disease. However, it was tried on adults, but it didn't end so well. It does not help that they have to make another vaccination every 4 to 5 months, as it does wear off, even though each time it gets more and more effective. There is a side effect to all this though. Due to all the magic substance that enters their bodies, it somewhat messes with their DNA and gives them magical powers. After a lot of experimentation, 3 children survived. Alex was one of them. They trained the kids their entire lives. They still educate them, but not as much as normal kids, but enough. If they have these powers, they can learn to use them and have them to help with their mission. They will need to learn how to control their emotions as well. Emotional outbreaks, like temper tantrums, are ridiculously dangerous, as they can cause the other user to let out too much magic at one time, hurting the others. The children's purpose is to stop the corruption from spreading. Kill the magic at its source. So I'm so sorry if I sounded incredibly bored while I said that. I usually have the voice of boredom when my voice is like this, so I do apologise. So I had to shorten the story a bit because there was a lot of information there and some parts were just what I felt as like filler, but I tried to condense it down as much as I could without skipping over too much of the detail. I hope I did your character justice. Kira, Goddess of Sarcasm. So I read through Alex's character information and it talked about him being a bookworm and also being the voice of reason, and also the one with telepathic powers. I thought it was really, really cool to have that, and I kind of had this underground sense of it because the corruption is corrupting the earth, so I wanted an underground feel. I will say that these digital art pieces will not come out the same each way. Sometimes I'll do line art and colour it, other times I'll just do black line art. Sometimes I will actually just do full-on blending without any kind of line art whatsoever. Let's actually try out a lineless effect, and it worked pretty well. The only thing I would say I did wrong for this is that sometimes I don't take the shadows deep enough or the highlights bright enough, and also I should have done the background first. This is something that I always fall prey to. You have to have something in mind compositionally, and this was something that I fell prey to again, like I did the last episode when I didn't plan out a composition beforehand. I always get carried away with drawing a character, and I think that rings true for a lot of people as well. The next character is Niba, and she belongs to Lunderdog_ from Instagram. So when I was trying to choose which character to draw this week, I actually thought that Niba stood out to me. It was something that I wanted to draw. It was a challenge. It reminded me of when I drew Muffet from Undertale last year, so I really wanted the challenge of drawing multiple eyes. Also, having different coloured skin as well is a challenge because you have to find out what complements the skin tone when shading and doing highlights. Also, when I looked at Niba, it was like I could think of a background idea instantly. I sketched out all the poses for Alex and Niba traditionally and then scanned them in. The thing is though, with Alex, I could do it straight away, but with Niba, I went through several pages of printer paper just to try and figure out what pose I wanted to do for her. The background was the easy part, the pose was really difficult. The background design actually came from a video game, and I had this vividly in my mind when I was coming up with the background concept and thought of The Legend of Spyro Eternal Night with the pink water running through the level, and I just thought that this would look amazing against Niba's skin, just complementing the colour scheme completely. And I really, really wanted to attempt it. I really wanted to give myself the challenge. So when I looked at screenshots of the actual level, I found that there was a lot of different textures, and there was also a very minimal colour palette. It was very dark, and some of the places that look green are actually dark blue, which blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, these aren't green? What? What is this madness? But I really like the way this came out. Niba as a character actually felt very mysterious to me, so I really wanted a background that could actually hold up to her mysteriousness looking character design. Anyway, Niba's story. Just before I start, I'm going to apologise if I butcher any names of any places or any people in the story. Niba is a mix of two races in a cold and unforgiving world of Alea, where her father's house and the following lives, right at the woods of the Lunar Kingdom, Dandele, at the border over to the Sun Kingdom, Ortelius. Niba's father, Kale Boldheart, Lord of Stonewall, and the head of the Boldheart house, once came home from a long journey deep into the woods of Ortelius. Lord Kale had gotten lost and had been attacked, finding himself in the arms of a strange-looking woman with 5 starry black eyes, 2 horns, a strange hair colour, and ashy grey skin, with a black birthmark and 4 arms that hovered above him as he regained consciousness. She was a member of the secretive and hidden Banshans, who never show themselves to anyone. This Banshan had mercy on him. As Kale recovered, he found out her name was Asenna, and both started falling deeply in love with each other to the point where Asenna became pregnant and gave birth to Niba. But because of the human blood flowing through Niba's veins, it possessed her with untold strength. Asenna died whilst giving birth, leaving Kale and Niba behind. Chaol was left with a broken heart and became resentful of the child that stole his love away. Reluctantly, he brought her back to his castle. He didn't bother giving her a name. In his eyes, she didn't deserve an identity at all. When Lord Chaol arrived at Stonewall, he gave the baby, who looked like her mother, to a middle-aged maid and told her to take care of Niba. Niba grew up constantly being bullied due to her appearance. She never understood why the Lord hated her so much, since he would give her very hard tasks to do from very early on, when Niba was nothing more than a child, trying to understand who she was and where she came from. The maid who looked after her died on Niba's 19th birthday. She had lost everything. No one was by her side anymore. Without a warning, a wave of magical power burst out of her body. Asenna had never revealed these powers to Chaol. The Lord sent people to capture her, since magic was strictly forbidden in Dandele. Using her powers, Niba fought them off and fled into the woods, wandering day and night through Ortelius, until she found a wandering shepherd boy named Cain, who taught her what loving and being loved meant, and that the world had so much more in store for her and the cold, emotionless faces of Stonewall's people. So that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, you can put a like on it, you can subscribe if you're new. If you have any suggestions for videos I should do in the future, challenges, possible tutorials, anything at all, put it down in the comment section below. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!